Hi, everybody. This is Patti Negri. Welcome to the Witching Hour. The Witching Hour, that hour of the day, usually late at night. But now, whenever you're tuning in, when the veil between the worlds is the thinnest and magic happens. Today, the magic is one of my besties in the whole world. She is a vanity alchemist. Think about that. She is the co-host of Two Face Horror podcast. She is a para-nerd and investigator. She is a light worker of the dark arts. Meet one of my best friends in the world, Yvonne Haas. Hi, Yvonne.
Hi.
So happy to have you on finally. I mean, this is what we do on a regular basis, just talk, just chat, hang out. We are fellow Vampire Lounge girls together. We are fellow witchy girls together. Known each other for several years now. And I just love how you've really been coming into your own and working with people now and stuff. So thank you for finally coming on the Witching Hour.
Thank you. It's so fun.
So
I'm excited.
thank you. So again, the first thing that I love before we get into even light work of the dark arts, which I love, what's a vanity alchemist?
That is more of the self-love aspect. It's the personal empowerment. Um, it goes hand in hand for me with the dark arts because I don't stay away from um, ego altogether like a lot of systems do.
Yeah.
So it's the glamour art. It's the I feel good, so I look good. It doesn't matter what your opinion is. It's just you're not resonating on my level, so I must not need you, or we just must not be meant to be right now, or um, that's not my path. And if you really think it is, then, you know, maybe you need to change and tweak your energy a little bit so that you can get that magnetism going. But um, Vanity Alchemist, it has to do with everything Earth, I suppose. If you wanted to bring it down onto the elemental level, it's everything that we as humans love, like, lust over, all of those things.
Right. And you really are a beauty in the sake of beauty girl. I mean, as far as, techniques and beautifying techniques and female techniques, not, I mean, for males too, you are like the goddess I go to for like, what is the best treatment for this? And what is the best treatment for that? And what do I do about this down here? And you have an answer to everything. And you probably even have a magical machine for everything. So to me, even that beauty alchemist means you change things, you shift things, as well as energetic. What you were talking about, and we do need a little of that ego within there. In my belief system, no matter what, all those people that that preach like, oh no, we can't do that. They lost themselves.
Right, right. And it's really easy. It's a little compromise here, a little compromise there. And then before you know it, you don't even recognize yourself, and you don't remember what made you happy, and the things you thought did really don't. And it's just a mess, and it's really hard to get out of. And there's a lot of women and men too. I mean, this is not exclusive to women, um, that are, coming in with all of these weird planetary alignments and isms and all these things. They're really ready to go back and see where they lost themselves and how to find themselves and what really fits in with who it is that they were meant to be.
So do you think this mostly affects us in our like love relationships, our relationship relation? Is that where we like lose ourselves the most in our, those kind of romantic relationships versus work versus friendships, or is it across the board? Because to me, it seems like I mean, I don't want your opinion. A lot of people, I can hold my own with all my girlfriends and I can hold my own at work, but all of a sudden I'm in a love relationship, I've lost it.
Um, I think love is one of those things that we're kind of brainwashed into. This is what that looks like, and this is what it has to be. And I really think that that's like the biggest downfall, because that turns into this huge heap of Mount Everest of fear and you're afraid of what your parents and your community and your social circles are going to think of you if you've changed your mind, or if you want better, or if you've just grown, and it's a new chapter in your life. Um, but I think love really affects everything in your life, because that resonates so intensely. And so that is one of those things that society has told us is safe, as it's really that intensity of the dark magic where people say, oh, just stay away from that, your heart's fluttering, it's a sign, run. It's not. But I think that love resonates on that same level and that same intensity. And if you can harness that and really control it, instead of letting that fear turn it and tell you that it's controlling you, then that's where that alchemy comes in. That's where what you see now shines through you, and the people who don't match up with that start to fall away. They're not even interested anymore. They're not interested in judging you. They're not interested in influencing you. They're not interested in trying to dull your shine and your mission.
So is that something to notice as you're becoming again your own person, and whatever that means, your own noticing what people at first are trying to dull your shine? Is that something to pay attention, to try to control you, to try to change you? Are those red flags?
They are. You could also use them to your advantage, though, because if you think about it, I know, um, I try to say, oh, I hate gossiping, I never gossip. But when when we're gossiping and we're talking about each other's relationships and issues and things, I mean, you can't help but notice that these are cycles that we get stuck in. They're it's the same, it's the same storyline. They're different faces, maybe different intensities, but it's the same. So a lot of times you can look at that other person and see what they're stuck in, because they've probably done this to you before. Or you've seen them do it to other people. Maybe you even joined in. Oops. Oh, well, now you know better. But, you can see these relationship cycles, and they loop and they loop and they loop. And you can see what it is that you're doing that puts you on that level that you're attracting it over and over and over again. So, that weirdness, it is not necessarily bad. I hate saying things are bad, but
Yeah.
you might not want to sit in it, but be like, oh, damn, I missed that, but I get it now. I get it now. So,
Yeah, because it's true. I mean, almost every day I work with people, and what you exact said, it's a loop. I always attract the same kind of person. I always attract somebody who's like my father. Or I always attract this, or I always attract somebody who turns mean, or somebody who turns disrespectful, or somebody who's that. So who's the common denominator there? It's you.
right. And it's
So
friends too. I mean, we've seen people come and go through, through the lounge or through just different events, period, who, they're at 100 one day, and then all of a sudden they flew off their rocker, and you're like, hey, what what happened? Or they just switch, energy vampires, you know, uh, it's all kinds of relationships. You can't do life without relationships. So, it's friends, it's love, it's family, even.
right. That's beautiful. So keep become your own beauty alchemist, right? And see what's what. And again, like you said, vibration level of where we're at. So yeah, so we do have to pay attention to that, especially in this crazy world, because we are in extra crazy times. Times are always crazy, but extra crazy times with the COVID and post COVID and all the political stuff and the war stuff. No, most people aren't at their best right now. They're either got some fear base, or how am I going to do this base? So it's not necessarily bringing the best out in everybody. So, you know, stepping
Right.
into it. So what does a light worker of the dark arts mean? I love the phrase, I must say.
I work It's really simple. I know people make it really difficult and complicated. It's really simple. I work with the more intense energies. So the energies that everybody, not everybody, but the general majority of people run from. They say, "Oh, my heart's fluttering," or um, "My heart's racing. I'm sweating. I can't work with this energy or that deity or this side or whatever." Um, I work with that. And that is what people refer to very often as demons, as satanic, as dark, forbidden. But in reality, it's just the other side of the light or angelic coin. And, a lot of times I think that we fail to remember because it's all remembering. We're not really learning, we're remembering.
Yeah.
But we fail to remember that there's no light without the dark. Um, you know, different side of the same coin, but it's a balance of if you're all love and light, um, that dark, so to say, side is gonna be waiting to pounce and it's just gonna feel overwhelming and then you get yourself in trouble. It's not that the dark is waiting to lure you in or tempt you or anything. You just get scared, you get panicked. Things that are unfamiliar and um, unexplored are scary.
Yeah.
But once you explore them, you understand them. It doesn't mean that you have to be best friends with them or work with them on a daily basis like I do. But once you understand what's going on, it's not as scary. You're like, oh yeah, I'm not interested in that, or I'm not ready for that today. I'm not up for that. I'm just gonna, you know, I'm just gonna ask, maybe Archangel Raphael or Michael for some help or guidance or Jesus or whoever it is that you're comfortable with, and that's okay. But it's working with the more intense energy.
Right. Right. And again, if you love it, if you are all love and light, you wouldn't number one be human. That's another realm. That they're dextral. They all, if you go up into those high, those angels, the non-fallen ones, they can't all they can protect and they can enlighten and they can't cause shift or change or anything. It's once you get the sinstral side, um, which is shift and change, what you're going to get at the crossroads, that's when you can take control of your life. That's the way you have control of your life. So again, we're like this weird odd couple of best friends. I'm the good witch. I don't use the term white witch in because of all those connotations to it. And it's a weird world. I am good. I'm good. I do tend to do my magic up here because I like living up here. But I know how you have to go to the crossroads. You have to, if you want to create your own life. Otherwise, you're just going which way the wind blows you. And who wants to do that?
Right.
So how did you get into your path? Were you kind of born into a different versus, you're you kind of very definitely have your own path of sorts, and it's beautiful. I really help people, and again, it's probably one of the most understood paths out there for people. But how did you?
I was I was actually born into it. I fought it most of my life because, of course, growing up in a Catholic home, going to Christian school, um, I was really taught, oh, you're obsessed with Halloween and all these things and asking questions. You're inviting them in. And I was like, no, mom, they're already here. Like this is scary stuff. And the more you talk to um, people who are very dogmatic, it's more judgy. It's well, just avoid it. Just pray. I went to all of these cleansing masses and things, and everyone tried to pray the dark away and the nightmares and the weird things that happened or whatever. It didn't go anywhere, and I never wanted it to go away. To be honest, I knew that it was part of my path. It was terrifying, as a 5-year-old, to have these things, cooling you out of your bed or moving shit around your room or whatever. But um, I knew that it was something I had to understand eventually. Um, and so as an adult, I did. Um, but I think I'm more grounded than most people because I don't denounce God. I don't denounce church. I think it's a great place. I don't think that the dark arts or Satanism or any of those things is for everybody. I think it could quite possibly ruin a lot of people who aren't ready for that. But I mean, I studied a lot. I've studied occult. I've studied the light stuff. I have, pretty darn close to a bachelor's in biblical theology from Southern Baptist College. So I get it. But I also, what that's allowed me to do is see how they all overlap. And they're not that different. They really aren't.
Nope, not at all. That's my little preacher thing too. It's like different words, different things. And again, for everybody going, dark, is it dark? You are one of the lovingest, givingest, kindest, helpful, magical people I know and have ever met. If with your darkness, the light you bring in when you walk into a room, when you walk, your magic. So again, people, this is a place people really have to let go of that old paradigm of thinking dark is bad and light is good and this, that.
They do, because
broken all those.
I felt right. I felt the most dark when I was surrounded by the religious community, to be honest. And I had questions and I wanted to know what was going on. And I went to, light workers and, these rainbow attunement people and all these, pretty things, which I love pretty things, but they were light workers only. And once they would tap into that current that I have and that I live in, they didn't want anything to do with me. They wouldn't read, they wouldn't finish my reading, they wouldn't finish a clearing, they wouldn't do an attunement. They were like, you have to get rid of that. And I'm like, that, umpteen exorcisms and whatever would have gotten rid of that if it was going to go anywhere. I'm not worried about you getting rid of it if you're trying to, behind my back or secretly. It's not going to go anywhere. It's balancing. It's tell me, what is this? What can I find in there? And, all that was hiding on the other side or in Satanism, really what I live by is that your opinion and your free will to live your life the way that you want to and your perception of things is just as valuable as mine. And so if I come across somebody who has an opposing or an adversary, like we like to call Satan or the devil, either term that you want to use, is referred to as the adversary. But if I come across somebody who has an adversary perspective on something, I think about it for a second. And if I can't argue that other person's side as passionately as I can argue my own by stepping outside of myself, then I'm not going to shove my foot in my mouth, because then I'm just arguing for the sake of arguing, which is fun. I like it sometimes. Let's be honest. But that doesn't make me an awesome person. That doesn't make people feel good. That's not adding to the current that we're trying to give off and we're trying to be a part of. So it's really, there's free will, and then there's the freedom to act on your free will. And that's really the dividing factor right there. And
right. So yeah, it's not living in this fairy tale. The second I met again, and I think again, because of what society has said about things, and certainly traditional religion has said about things, and even New Age or spiritual people, even witchy people, baby witchy people don't get it, or the people that came out of the Wicca of the 70s and 80s, they just don't get it, because then they turn that into God. But it's anybody who's really is connected to spirit. The second I met you, I went, oh my God, she's special. She's fabulous. She's wonderful. I didn't go, get out. I'm putting up a car. Get out.
You did call
Go away. No, be my friend.
You did call out my dark You called out my dark, but you asked me about it, and I was like, yeah, it's not gonna go anywhere. I'm good with it. I just gotta figure it out a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, but it wasn't like, oh, you're evil, get this. No, this is it's a complicated world. It's a complicated planet. If anybody thinks anything is black and white or, you know, they're not going to get very far. So we're in this crazy world we're in. How do you do? What are things that you do in your life to make it better? Like, do you do a lot of ritual work, spell working, just daily things that you do to make life better for you, for the world, for whoever, your family?
I do try to do, daily workings. Um, my my self-discipline, is not a not
Yeah,
a
we all
strong
have that
suit.
issue sometimes. Yeah.
Um, but I try to spend time with um deities. I work very heavily in the demonic currents, so I spend time with them and their attunements and their current, and then that way I know what energy I want to tap into for different workings or different intentions, things like that. There's books upon books upon books telling you, this one is for that, and payment is for riches. Well, there's more than a dozen demons whose specialty is listed as riches. Sea tree for glamour. There's all kinds of different ones. So it's I'm not about gatekeepers. I think everyone needs to find their own current and their own path, um, and grimoire of sorts in their workings. So I like to spend time in the different energies and just kind of journal a little bit. Those are things that I make sure that I do every day. So it might be 5 minutes, it might be 30 minutes, usually not an hour, but probably should be sometimes. Um, yeah, I mean that sums it up. Sometimes I know I like to be like, oh, the new moon's coming, or oh, the full moon. And sometimes I just don't feel into setting up a whole ritual and, oh, what do I
Yeah.
want and what do I this and that. And you don't have to. So, what I do on those days, which is more often than I'd like to admit, is I just acknowledge it. I say thank you for your energy, your courage, your help, your wisdom. If there's anything you want to let me know, lead me to write it down or give me an idea, a thought, a vision. Anyone who knows me knows I'm on like super, super ADHD, and I'll just have like 80,000 ideas and I'll have to write them down all the time. And then I'll try to throw them out when they come to mind, but I forget them. So,
Right.
but it's just spending time getting to know yourself and seeing what that resonates with.
So isn't that all of it? Whatever you're calling the deities and whatever realm you say they're in, isn't really all inner work? I mean, it's knowing yourself, what you want, what you need. That's how it always comes down to me. Whatever little path I'm taking at the moment, it's like figuring out this. I said,
It is. It is. And um, I know that a lot of what scares people on any of the more intense paths, I know like Wicca is a little more gentle and like, you don't have to do your shadow work and you can just, pick daisies and light candles and, sing to the fairies. And that's great. I love that. We have to, you know, come into it with this childlike wonderment and excitement. Um, but there will come a crossroads where if you didn't do that shadow work on the inside, you're not going to fill that hole with whatever it is that you're wishing for with the daisies and the fairies and the rainbows. It's not going to align, or else it's going to be right there in your grasp and it's going to just slip right out because you're just not
right.
aligned. So
Right. And shadow work, again, because of the times we're in, because shadow work is a big buzzword that is new to this world and new to the craft, whatever path, if they're, I'm Thelemic, I'm Wiccan, I'm Chaos, I'm whatever. All of a sudden, the buzzword is shadow work. So that is good. People are realizing you can't just be blinded by the light all the time, um, because there's shadow behind it. So for anybody who doesn't know, what is shadow work?
Yeah, shadow work is something I feel like it's been convoluted lately and just like muddied up and made all mystical and complicated. Dude, it's going into like yourself and seeing these looping patterns and seeing what aspects of your character is driving those things. And then really sitting down and seeing where did that come from? And is that true today? Was it ever true? And is that getting me closer to my goals or my intentions? And usually it's not. So, um, for me, I think the shadow work is easier if you break it down into archetypes, which is the same thing, really.
Mhm.
You know, everyone has a saboteur, everyone's got a prostitute, everyone's got their price that they'll, you know, compromise for. Um, these are all characteristics of our personality that we've devised and adjusted to different levels to keep us safe and to make us feel whole and I guess grown. But you know, there's different times and different places for different ones of those to hold the boss seat. And so we might not need that, orphaned child to be driving our relationship bus.
Right. Beautifully
So
put.
that,
Beautifully
yeah, that's
put.
shadow work. It makes it easy.
It does. And again, and somebody else would go, dark, dark. No, it's we have shadows. We have what we do. Well, this is amazing. So if people want, and I must say, you are like one of the artsiest, craftsiest, creative. You create oils and art and all sorts of things. So if people want to follow you more, how can people find you? How can people follow you? Workings for people?
I'm at Pretty Creepy Girl on Instagram. That's where I usually, well, I'm really bad about posting, but I'm really good about getting back to people. So you can always find me there.
Okay,
I
pretty
have the
creepy girl
two-faced
on
horrors.
Instagram. You what
Hmm.
what? Yeah.
I also have the two-faced horrors. There's not a lot of stuff put up there yet because that's for the podcast, and we've just not put those live yet, but we've been working on it. So
But you'll get it out there, and you have a lot of stuff
I
coming.
will.
I know that. So you guys keep follow her on Instagram, find her there, and then come back again soon when you have something. Thank you for bringing your magic, and you do have truly beautiful, amazing magic that people really do need to understand more in this world, in our craft, in those who call themselves occultists, witches, whatever you want to call yourself. So thank you for being a really positive light of what that is. So you guys check her out, Yvonne Haas, pretty creepy girl, just kind of perfect. And thank you for visiting the Witching Hour.